Hey guys, I'm Beth. This is Remark, and I am going to do a quick fire roundup of 4 books that I have read this month. Okay, so these are not going to be in depth at all. I'm not going to go down to the deeper meaning of the book. We're not going to do any analyses or anything like that. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the book and what I thought of it. Hopefully in just a very quick snap of a moment. Hopefully it'll take a lot quicker than even this introduction is taking. The first book I read was Whisper Network by Chandler Baker. This book is really reminiscent of one of those ripped from the headline books. I remember back in 2017, there was a Google spreadsheet that was going around called Shitty Media Men, in which women were basically just recording men within the media and advertising industry that you needed to watch out for. So a similar thing happens in this fictional book, Whisper Network. There's a spreadsheet that goes around of, shitty men they need to watch out for because they're all harassy and molesty, and they need to just be careful. Be careful, watch out, don't get attacked. And these women have this spreadsheet going around. Someone adds a man's name to it, and then all hell breaks loose. Basically, instead of the man being held accountable for his sins, it's mainly the woman who's in trouble for spreading these malicious truths about this man. And so we see these women band together and backstab and just the story that follows them. It's really interesting. I liked it. But even more so, I was enthralled by the real-life counterpart story. So, good book. I think in this case, truth was more interesting than fiction, but I sure did enjoy the fiction ride. The next book I'm going to talk about is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This was a nice romance in which a woman and man who are enemies become lovers. Tale as old as time, right? But it was still not a bad way to spend a few hours. A couple of things I liked about it is that the woman was independent. She had her friend network. It wasn't too wacky. I have a little bit of impatience with romances that are a little bit too wackadoodle. Some romances, it's like they try to be almost PG or G-rated, and the wacky antics that they get into, and then like shift into hardcore R when they hit the bedroom, and it's just weird. It's weird to me. So I liked that that wasn't included here. The thing that I found kind of tiresome was this long, drawn-out ruse that they had to fool the woman's boss. I don't know, it just, I got a little bit impatient with that. But still, overall, not a bad book. Surprise! I'm far away for the next minute or so. Got to switch it up on you guys. So the next book I'm going to talk about is How Not to Die Alone by Richard Roeper. I liked this book quite a bit. It followed a man who, I don't know, he's kind of quirky. He has a hard time relating with other people. He takes a shine to one of his coworkers and starts to kind of come out of his shell. But we know that there's probably some kind of underlying story there, whether it's trauma or some sort of mental condition, or we know that there's something more going on with him. And when we find out what it is, it was, I felt so much for this guy. Here's the problem that I had with the book. So overall, I loved it. It was a great read. The problem I had with it was the marketing. It was compared to Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, a book which I loved and really gave high marks to in my review. It bothers me whenever a book is compared to another book. I've talked about this at length with Gone Girl and how it seemed like once Gone Girl hit it big, every book henceforth that contained a woman who was less than pleasant was compared to Gone Girl. I feel like perhaps that was what happened here with its comparison to Eleanor Oliphant, because the book isn't as good as Eleanor Oliphant. It's not as traumatizing. It's not as affecting. I don't feel for the protagonist in How Not to Die Alone like I did for Eleanor Oliphant, with whom I completely fell in love with, that little weirdo. So it suffers in comparison. Had it not been compared to Eleanor Oliphant, I would be standing here far away, singing its praises, talking about how wonderful it is. So it is wonderful. It is wonderful. Just don't compare it. Don't compare it to a book to which it does not compare. Irks me. The final book I'm going to talk about is The Girl He Used to Know by Tracey Garvis Graves. It follows a woman who has autism and how she navigates the world as well as her relationship. She gets into this relationship with this man. They have their ups and downs, both the basic ones that any new couple would have, plus the ones kind of caused by her inability to understand certain things that come easily to other people. It was a good book, except I feel like all of these books I'm talking about today, I'm like, oh, that was good, except. So here's the thing with The Girl He Used to Know that kind of bugged me, and it was the time period in which it was set. Hopefully I'm not getting too spoilery by saying this. It was set in the year 2001, and I feel that that was done solely so that they could use 9/11 as a cathartic moment in which the girlfriend could prove herself to her boyfriend. It just seems a little cheap. I don't feel like 9/11 is off limits. If that is something that's integral to the story or to the development of the characters, I think that that's fine, that's good, it happened, let's not ignore it or try and sweep it under the rug. At the same time, it feels a little bit pandering to use that as the big emotional moment in her development. I don't know, it kind of rankled a little bit. It didn't run the story for me. I wouldn't say that it was bad, but it just felt kind of cheap to use 9/11 just for this woman to prove herself to her boyfriend. So that's the except. That's the except. Otherwise, it was pretty good. It was kind of hard to see why he stayed with her or what he got out of the relationship, because it seemed like he was constantly putting up with things and not necessarily being fulfilled by the relationship, which I feel does a little bit of a disservice to the woman, but it was still good. It was still a good story. So, 4 books, good books, with caveats. What have you read this month? Let me know. I would love to hear. And if you have any book recommendations for me. Thanks as always for watching, and I will catch you next time. Bye.